Week 13, Thanksgiving DFS is here. We got 3 games on the screen. I got Hutchinson Brown in to help break down the different contests that we have on FantasySpin for the Thanksgiving action. So while you're eating the turkey, ham, whatever you tend to eat on Thanksgiving, all the DFS insights you need for Thanksgiving DFS on FantasySpin is coming up next. First and foremost, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and to help me with the great football that'll likely be on many a TV in or around the table will be Hutchinson Brown's going to help me break down the game. So Hutch, as we are looking at this here for the main event that we're entering first here, we have Green Bay, Detroit, we have Kansas City and Dallas. We'll spin a Cincinnati and Baltimore lineup in a little bit, but right now we're looking Packers, we're looking Lions, Chiefs, and Cowboys. What players or teams do you want to be most involved in here when I do this first spin?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think honestly a big target for me is Jahmyr Gibbs. I think you got to look at him over the last 3 weeks. He's put up nearly 600 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's clearly establishing himself as the clear-cut RB1. Montgomery has only had 2 games of 50+% of the snaps this year. Like, he's been less and less involved over the season. Jahmyr Gibbs is establishing himself, and I don't care that it's a tougher Green Bay defense. I want Jahmyr Gibbs. That is the player, the premium blue chip player that I want in this spin. If I see him, I'm locking him, and it's not even a choice.
I couldn't agree more with you. So let's see if it's nice to you and gives you Jahmyr Gibbs right away. And you ask and you shall receive. You'll be giving thanks to FantasySpin for Jahmyr Gibbs on the first spin, and you get him down there in the flex spot. So we're going to lock in Jahmyr Gibbs. Like you said, no questions asked. You're locking him in. So we move on away from Jahmyr Gibbs. We do get Dak Prescott in the upper left. He draws Kansas City, one of the tougher defenses, I'll say, probably on the board in this matchup. But when Dallas is humming, that offense is humming, and we've seen Dak put up some pretty notable fantasy points of late. Are you locking in Dak Prescott as our quarterback, or are you holding out hope for maybe Jared Goff or Patrick Mahomes instead?
It's really tough because I think CeeDee Lamb has a bounce back this week. I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb. He had a few drops this last week against the Philadelphia Eagles. He's pretty frustrated by that one. You saw him on the bench. You saw him on social media, not happy about it. And all the Dallas team is saying, like, Lamb's going to go off this week. Like, we're ready to give him the ball a lot. The head coach is talking about it. Like, I think that they're going to have a great week in Dallas. And I actually think there's a real chance they win this game. I'm honestly going to lock in Dak. I really like the matchup here, even though it's Kansas City, even though they've been a tougher passing defense. I think Pickens and Lamb having a good enough week. I think Dak is going to be good. So, but the rest of the options, I think we can pass and spin again.
You're not a Christian Watson fan on Thanksgiving Day?
No, I don't think so. Okay. I don't think he's worth locking.
Okay, fair enough. I tend to like Christian Watson, I will say.
He's got some upside, but I think that there are better players to lock.
I would definitely agree with that. I do think if you get stuck with Christian Watson, you can be a little more excited. You can be more Colby than Hutch when it comes to Christian Watson in that one. See, talk about him. He's got to come up again. So I'm going to make you have to pass on Christian Watson again. But next to him, we do have Jameson Williams put up a nice old 0.0 in week 12. What do you think about a bounce back for Jameson Williams here this week going up against the Detroit Lions? Or I'm sorry, against the Green Bay Packers?
I've loved Jameson Williams over the last handful of weeks. Obviously, the 0 last week was not fun. But what we've seen from Jameson Williams, specifically since Dan Campbell is taking over the play calling, what we've seen from Jameson Williams is not him being used just downfield, not being him, like, not just deep plays, but every area of the field. It's more like what we saw from Jameson Williams in the back half of last season when Detroit's defense wasn't playing very well. They had to throw a lot, and JMO just got involved everywhere. And although all the offseason reports showed Jameson Williams is going to be a locked-in guy for us. Like, I was out there saying, I think Jameson Williams might lead this team in receiving yards this year. Like, I was very high on Jameson Williams, and I'm thankful that he's finally started to pick it up a little bit for fantasy purposes. I think he has a great game against Green Bay. I think there's definitely upside here. And I think, obviously, in this divisional matchup, Thanksgiving Day, 2 offenses that can put up some points, I think Jameson Williams is worth the lock here.
Absolutely. And the game opened at 49, sitting at about 48.5 now, depending where you look. So Vegas like points to be scored. Who am I to argue with Vegas? They seem to always know. So I am good right there, locking in Jameson Williams. I don't care for Brashard Smith or Kevontae Turpin. So one last time, not sure if I've asked you this in the last 30 seconds. Are you sure you want to pass on Christian Watson again?
I'm gonna pass on him. We got 3 more spins. I think we could guess. I think we could try.
If he comes up a third time, we're locking him in.
If he comes up a third time, I think we have to lock him in because that's
exactly.
Destiny. Yeah,
absolutely have to there. I'll be point blank honest. I don't like any of those options.
I don't either. No, okay. I think I'm gonna spin.
We will move right on again there.
Okay.
Here's the thing. 9 times out of 10, I'm taking Javonte Williams, but my goodness, is it tough to run against Kansas City.
I think you got to lock in Kareem Hunt here, personally. I think Dallas has been the matchup for running backs. They're bottom 10 in running back fantasy points allowed. And when you look at Kareem Hunt, he has seen 70+% of the snaps in 3 straight games. And last week he saw 30 freaking carries. 30, the most in a game in his entire career at nearly 30 years old. I think Kareem Hunt has been established as the lead back for Kansas City, and he's doing all right with the volume, and he's scoring touchdowns in the red zone, and he's getting decent receiving work as well with a couple receptions here and there. So against Dallas, I think you have to start Kareem Hunt and lock him in here. And I'm not allowed to. Oh no, I've already. Yeah, this would be my 4th lock, right? Yeah, so Kareem Hunt would lock, and then I'm leaving them up the next 2 for grabs.
That's fair enough. And we know, the news out there is that Pacheco is set to return in week 13, but who is Kansas City to go away from him at this point? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Kareem Hunt's not getting 30 carries for 180 yards. He's slogging it for 3.
He's like 30 for like 102, and he's averaging like less than 3.5 per carry. It's like, how would you even get that many carries if he's just doing that? It's rough.
But I mean, running backs have a pretty good history of just falling into the end zone this year against Dallas, 6th most fantasy points allowed at the position. So I'm all good with Kareem Hunt. I like Javonte Williams, but I mean, they just bottled up Jonathan Taylor for a pretty good part of that game. So I'm good leaving the last spin up to Magic here, and we get him again, and we get Hollywood Brown. And I won't fault any receiver against Dallas. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, 100%. There's upside everywhere against this Dallas secondary. I mean, we just saw AJ Brown, Devontae Smith both have pretty solid games, and they were making, like, I mean, Smith specifically had a catch downfield where he's just mossing people, dude. Like, I mean, you don't see Devontae Smith moss people that often. He's a little bit of a smaller receiver, but these guys just make plays against Dallas. So I'm happy to get Marquise Brown as a deep flex with no locks left, and then Javonte will take the volume, hope he falls in the end zone, but I'm not expecting a lot of efficiency here.
You could do far worse in a flex spot than Javonte Williams in this one. And since the last time we had you on, which was actually last Thanksgiving, Hutch, you just become the Thanksgiving spinner here for Fantasy Spin. They've added this pick'em contest here that we can add. So what we have to do, we got to pick at least 3 players spanning 2 teams, which we'll have no problem hitting in this case. But of the players on the screen, which are you most confident in that they exceed their projected fantasy point total that you see there?
Ooh. I think you got to go Jameson Williams at 11 point. I'm assuming this is PPR scoring, or is it half? PPR, you got to go JMO. 11.6. That's really, really low. His explosive playmaking ability, as well as his touchdown upside, you got to put JMO there. And then I go Dak as well. I expect this to be a higher scoring game. I expect both offenses to be able to produce a little bit. And at 17.9, if Dak's throwing 2 touchdowns, you're probably going to get above that 17.9 mark. So I'll take Dak. And then the last one, I think Kareem Hunt at 8 is absolutely
That's
ridiculous.
where I was leaning.
I mean, I was looking at Jameer Gibbs at 21.2, like, yeah, it's tempting, but then you look up and see Kareem Hunt at 8. It's like the dude's getting 30 carries. I mean, he's like, he just got 30 carries last week. He's going to score more than 8 fantasy points. So that's a lock.
I mean, here, 12 carries for 28 yards and a touchdown is 8.8, and we get our more.
That's it. Exactly. Like,
all it takes.
It's stupid.
That is all it takes. So we will lock that in there. So that'll be the breakdown there for the Green Bay Detroit game and the Kansas City Dallas. So now, Hutch, we're going to shift our attention here to the nightcap. Cincinnati Bengals, Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals sieve of a defense that lets fantasy points left and right all across the board. So let me ask you this. Obviously, at the quarterback spot, we have one of 2 options. Do you have a strong preference between Lamar or Burrow?
I think it's funny. Lamar's actually been really struggling lately. Over the last 2 games, he's only scored a handful of fantasy points. I think it's been less than 10 in most scoring formats in each of the last 2 weeks. He's been struggling in this offense. Cincinnati is a bounce back opportunity here. You got the defense that's just, they can't stop anything. They really can't. So I'd prefer Lamar, especially since Burrow's coming off an injury, first game back against a Baltimore defense that has a lot of talent. I'm definitely going to lock in Lamar here, knowing that Burrow's my only other option. But otherwise, you know what? Give me Zay Flowers too.
Okay.
I will lock in Zay Flowers as well. I will take that, and then I will leave the rest a chance for now.
And then you can look at the numbers as much as you want to say about how Burrow had destroyed Baltimore last season. In that, I'm looking at it here. 348 yards and 4 touchdowns, also 55 yards on the ground. And then in week 10, it was 290 through the air with 4 touchdowns and 33 more yards on the ground. So all these two teams know are shootouts against one another. So
this is going to be a shootout, especially prime time, Thanksgiving Day. Like this is destined to be a shootout. Oh man, this is tough. I feel like since we're going 2 teams, I think I have to lower my expectations of what I'm going to get, because obviously with the 4 teams of the previous matchup, you had a lot more opportunity to get good players. But this one, especially considering the two teams are, T. Higgins is out, not a lot of receiving depth in Baltimore outside of Zay Flowers or Mark Andrews. Like, it's just tough. I think in this one, given it's a shootout, I think we can see some deep passes. I'm actually going to lock in Rashad Bateman. I'm going to take Rashad Bateman. I think that's a really solid play. He's someone that can make some deep passes, deep plays here and there. And I think this is a game where he could absolutely get there at a shootout. So I'm going to get Bateman in the lineup.
Yeah, we'll lock him in. And there is nothing else between those three. We're going to spin. We got to hope for the likes of Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, and we get none of them. And we don't even get a Baltimore tight end. I don't even get to talk about how the free square of any given slate is tight ends against the Bengals.
Yeah,
that's
tight
the free
ends
square.
against the Bengals. We had a likely for a minute. I thought about locking him in, but I was hoping for Andrews to come up, but that did not happen.
Well, let's spin one more. It's 3 spins. We can do it real quick and see if we can get you a Mark Andrews.
Oh, I
can't get you that, but I can give you a Jamar Chase. Which, hey,
yeah, you can
not a bad consolation
lock
prize.
You can lock in Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
and Lamar Jackson. Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. I mean, the numbers are so good. And in those, I talked about how good Lamar was against Cincinnati. If you go back to last year, Chase had at least 10 grabs, 193 yards, and 2 touchdowns in each game. So
and T. Higgins is out too. And Jamar Chase been posting on the socials like he wants to play. So I think we're going to see a lot of targets here. I'm like, I would like if I were doing projections, I would have a hard time not projecting like 15 targets like this week. It's going to be madness.
I'm going to go out on a real limb here and say whoever wins any of the contests on Fantasy Spin this week, Jamar Chase will be in the lineup. Bold call. I know. Very bold. But I'm just telling you, if you don't have Chase, you don't got a chance. So
I agree.
I do like Tinsley as a deep sleeper, but obviously in a format like this, I'm not going to lock him in. So we will move on. But I do like him overall. And Mark Andrews just continues to hide from you there.
Yeah.
Do you like Yoshivas? I'm lukewarm on him in this game.
Yeah, he's okay. I think honestly with T. Higgins out, did we have him on the last spin? I don't think I saw his name on the last spin. I think I'd definitely prefer him over Bateman with Higgins out. Higgins with that concussion. I think I'd put Yoshivas in, given that this game is probably going to be a shootout. We're probably going to see some scoring here. I'll put Yoshivas in. I'll lock him in here, especially considering the other players we could get. We got Chase Brown. I'll take that. Absolutely. He's been on fire as of late, but otherwise the other two, no, not fun.
You used your lone Thanksgiving ask to get Gibbs on your first spin. So now you ask for Mark Andrews. It's like, hey, we already gave you one.
Yeah, no. I don't get Mark Andrews.
And again, that's the free square. Tight ends against Cincinnati. It's been there all year long. I will say, hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me, but I do like Devontae Walker for a very long play in this game. Let's just hope it goes for a touchdown.
Yeah, this is a shootout. There's going to be some big plays. These teams are going to take some risks. And I think obviously, Walker could be there. I think Bateman could be there. I think Flowers could be there. Anybody could be there in this Baltimore offense. It's a mix and match kind of every week for them in this receiving course. But I would definitely expect at least one of these guys to have a big play. So if you're looking for a dart throw in a DFS lineup, I don't mind Walker or Bateman.
And if this kind of plays out like Vegas thinks it does with the over 50 right now, shoot, might be all of them. It might not be one of them. It might be all of them.
Yeah.
And I would be certainly okay with that. So that will be the breakdown for the Thanksgiving slates. Had Hutchinson Brown in. Make sure you follow him on X at HutchinsonB_FF. Hutch, why don't you let everyone know along with X where else they can find you in any of your work this fantasy football season?
Yeah, y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at HutchinsonB_FF. Make sure you check me out over there. Check out my all work at Football Guys. Hang out on the Discord with us. We're doing a lot of Q&A, a lot of betting props talk, a lot of making sure everybody gets their fantasy lineup set. And check out my videos as well on the Football Guys social media channels. You'll find them everywhere on the Instagrams, TikToks, the Twitters, all of the social medias. But yeah, just doing a lot of work over there. So make sure you go ahead and check me out over there.
And one last time, at HutchinsonB_FF on X. You can find me over on X at Colby R. Conway. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. And if you want to spin to win this fantasy football season, experience the newest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports, head on over to the Google Play or the Apple App Store. Download the Fantasy Spin app today, and we will see you on the leaderboard. What's up, y'all? Hope you enjoyed the content. For the avoidance of doubt, please note that I, Colby Conway, am a DFS player entering these contests under the username Colby Conway. The strategies and recommendations in this video do not necessarily reflect the views of Fantasy Spin. Please play responsibly and visit fantasyspin.com/responsible gaming to take advantage of Fantasy Spin's responsible gaming resources.